Hello, everyone. Thanks for having us here in this SAP Inside Track Barcelona. We are coming from the company Trifork, and we are here to talk about enterprise mobility in the SAP BTP. A short agenda of what we're going to be talking about. We're going to be talking about why do projects fail, just an introduction to the topic. We're going to be talking about the industry cases for enterprise mobility with an example of the Danish rail company. And then we're going to be looking at other applications, mobile applications that have been built for SAP use cases. Then we're going to be diving into the technical proposals that SAP has on the BTP, the architecture, and we will finalize this session with a quick demo of one of these proposals from SAP. Just a quick introduction about the speakers here. We're going to be two. My name is Asier Vega. I'm the director of Trifork in Barcelona. I'm an SAP architect at heart with experience in multiple functional domains. We also, in one of the projects 3 years ago, we won a SAP Innovation Award, which was probably the first mobile innovation award that SAP gave. And together with me, I have Losel. Losel is also one of the technical architects in Trifork Barcelona with more than 8 years of experience in development and architecture in multiple functional areas and in multiple technology domains. He's also a certified HANA consultant. So, enterprise mobility. Why is it coming now? Not just because of the increased amount of mobile devices and apps that we have, but it's a response to something bigger, and it's called adoption. It's very important to understand why companies fail to get value from software. So I'm sure that many of you have already worked in a project, if not all of you already, worked in a project that you have been developing a solution for 6, 9, 12 months. It has gone to production, and then people don't know how to use it. The users don't know what to do with it. And you have to apply a lot of corrections once it's in production, or the project is discarded after a few months. And then wasting a lot of time. If you would be raising your hand, I'm sure that all of you would be candidates for this kind of project. And the reason for this, according to a survey, is that 70% of the users claim that the user interface was not adequate, that the platform, the user experience was not the one they needed. The IEEE estimates, so IEEE is a prestigious institution. They estimate $1 trillion are wasted every year globally due to poor implementation and adoption. IEEE. And 86% of the users think that this is because of the user interface or in general the user experience. So now enterprise mobility comes to solve this situation, or maybe not fully solve it, but help on improving the lives of our users. And what is the proposal from SAP? We're talking about going from this sort of screens that we all know very well. I'm sure that most of you have already worked with a Material Master, where you have a screen with 40, 50 different fields and multiple tabs with many values and labels that people don't understand. And it takes forever for a regular user to understand what needs to be done in his job. Or, as you see on the left side, we have seen a warehouse worker having a mobile application, which is his laptop attached to his forklift, and having the GUI screens directly there. This is not how users are supposed to work. The users are supposed to work on more targeted solutions, adequate for the needs that they are helping them on their jobs. So what SAP is proposing is going from this sort of way of working to this. Something targeted for the users. Something that is according to the new technology standards. Something that they don't need to learn more than 5 minutes. They don't need to spend more than 5 minutes in a training. Something that is intuitive because it fits their needs. And how do we get here? How do we get here? So this is a multi-layer approach. Of course, we need the app, but then we need the right service layers and the integration. We need the right infrastructure, and we need the right devices. The app is something that the company creates. The service layer integration, it's something that the SAP BTP provides through the CPI, through integration management, API management, etc. IT infrastructure is the BTP by itself. And then the device and hardware, it's for the choice of the customer. And then this combination brings us the good user experience. So what are the cases out there for enterprise mobility? There are many, and they can be divided by industry, but just some examples. We have field work, so maintenance in the field. We have warehouse management. We have travel and transportation, infrastructure management, farming, agriculture, manufacturing. So it doesn't matter whether you are in a fixed place under a building or you are on the go. So most of these areas, they require a certain level of agility for the user to be on the go, to move, and to have simple solutions targeted to them. Solutions built for SAP. Now going from the industry approach to the more SAP traditional transactional approach. And we see solutions that can be built for time registrations, for approvals of time registrations, holidays, invoices, etc. Expenses. Many of you that travel because of your work and need to record expenses, you know how painful it can be and how easy it would be to just have a solution that allows you to record your expenses on real time. And then if we go into something more field related, asset management on the field, on the warehouses, on the factories, etc. Field work, so management of work orders, notifications, etc. Forms. Many of our customers, many of our SAP companies, they run checklists, and unfortunately yet many of these are running on paper. So forms, and then of course warehouse management, where we have here is a bit more advanced in terms of mobility because there are many scanners out there, but still the user experience on these scanners in many of the cases is not as good as it can be. And you guys might be thinking, but this is expensive. But this is not expensive. SAP, Apple, Google, they are bringing tools to the SAP Cloud, to the SAP BTP, in order to simplify these developments, in order to make it easier, and in order to help you succeed on mobilizing your employees. An example that we have been working with, it's the Danish National Rail, and they have been working mostly with quality and maintenance processes. So they have they used to have a lot of paper-based checklists and reports, and of course these were inefficient. In the Nordics, the weather is not always so good, so they could easily get wet, they could get lost, etc. And the process that they would have, it was very rudimentary. They would print out the checklists, they would give them to the technicians would fill them out, and once they are filled out, they are given to the manager or to the supervisor. The supervisor approves or rejects, and it's not like a button, it's they have to approve or reject on a piece of paper. Then once they are approved, they are sent to the back office, and the back office logs them in to SAP manually. These sort of processes that they are actually still very common, they can easily be solved with enterprise mobility and with a proposal from SAP. So what we did, it was basically an integrated solution between a mobile device running the app, the cloud engine, basically on the SAP BTP, and then a web editor of forms. And this is the app. The app looks very familiar because it's based on the Apple iOS design pattern. So all of you that you use iPhones, you know that on the top left there is always the back. You know how cards, how visually most of the apps developed in iOS they follow the same pattern. So it takes you a lot less time to get used to it, to understand how it works. So thanks to this, industry standardization of practices in design, we are able to improve the adoption of the solutions to our users. And then, of course, the companies running SAP, the higher the adoption, the higher the business case realization. So the app was also a fieldwork app where they would connect to the PM and CS modules in the backend, but for the users, they wouldn't see any SAP, even though they are consuming SAP data live. They consume work orders, they create notifications, materials, etc. And you can see the design of the app is quite intuitive, and I'm sure that you would learn as a user to use this in almost no time, compared to some of the existing projects that are out there that the users need manuals, they need physical trainings, etc. So what is SAP proposing? And here's the core. The core of this presentation, it's here. And you need to understand this very well. SAP is offering a full stack of options for you to choose. But how do you choose which tool to use for your enterprise mobility? It depends. It mostly depends on the complexity of your solution. Your solution needs to be targeted to a use case. And depending on the complexity of the use case, sometimes a cross-platform solution is ideal, sometimes a fully native solution is the best. Now, you have seen many of these demos from SAP about the low-code, no-code, the AppGyver, etc., where they show how easy it's to get a list of sales orders and how easy it is to get a list of products. They always use this example. And that's very simple. A list of products and 2 or 3 actions are a very simple use case. So in that, of course, it always works with low code, no code, and with Fiori and the mobile development kit. But the reality is that once we hit a real company, the complexity of the requirements is increasingly higher. And the issue with these cross-platform solutions is that the higher the use case complexity, the more difficult it becomes to handle code that is targeting both Android and iOS at the same time. And at some point, it is cheaper, it takes less effort to have 2 dedicated teams to Android and iOS doing native solutions. Examples of where it becomes a real project according to this slide. It's you might have a customer, you might have in your company a use case that requires the user to tag a certain action with a geolocation and to work offline and to have access to the camera. And all of this in a cross-platform solution, it's a bit challenging. It's possible. We're not saying no, it's challenging. Because even inside the same app, you need to cater for both iOS and Android, even though it's a cross-platform solution. It is these kind of use cases that the companies are trying to mobilize. So when we propose value to our business, and they say, but I heard this cross-platform works for both, we have to explain very well that depending on the complexity of the use case, cross-platform it's adequate, sometimes it's not. Cases in which cross-platform is actually very good. Again, you have a list. You have, let's say, a list of notifications in the quality management system, and you need to create a new notification from scratch, integrate it with SAP, and get it back. Well, it's just a list. It's just a form to fill out. In that case, the solution can work very well with if it's done through the mobile development kit. To some extent, it can work well with UI5, SAP UI5, and it's still to be tested because it's a new product, the AppGyver or the low-code, no-code solutions. But in any case, the takeaway here is that SAP is ready to offer solutions based on all complexities of the use cases. Basically, through the native iOS or Android SDKs developed together with Apple and Google, or through the cross-platform solutions that the SAP.
Actually, three different architecture of mobile services. Of course, there's many other more. The first one would be starting from the right to the left. You would have your own on-premise system, SAP, where you have your data, and you could expose this data by gateway, and that would be exposed in the BTP platform as a destination that eventually it would be consumed by the mobile service, and then the user will be using this data. This kind of architecture has the benefit is that you already have, most of the company have skilled people in ABAP. So yeah, in terms of resources, it's good. But the counterpart is that sometimes the data can be a little bit slow because every time you have to sync, it brings all the data from the gateway service. So yeah, that's the counterpart. And intermediate solution could be by replicating your database through some replication system like SLT, and that will be replicated in the HANA Cloud. And you would build a CAP project to consume and expose this data. So for reading those data, you would use the HANA Cloud, and to write it, you would have a Node.js app behind that eventually hit the gateway and write the data. And if you go to the next slide, see, and you could also have an architecture based on event. The benefit here is that instead of fetching the whole data, right, when you sync the app, you would only receive those data that you're only interested, right? Let's say you have a notification from the backend side that would trigger event, and the app would be listening to this event, and then only pull the data that you really needed, right? So the benefit here is that the app is very quick. But one of the disadvantage is that you will require more expert here. Like here we are not using the CAP, it's just pure Node.js. Yeah, and yeah, so this is the three different cases that I brought. And if you go to the next screen, as here, here's what is the under hood of the SDK for iOS. Starting from the above, you would have your iOS app, and on top of that, you would have this SDK, which have all these different frameworks, and you could use SAP Purity Mentor that I will show you later, and the SDK assistance to build the iOS app very easily. And then you would have the mobile service on top of the BTP, where you have some features like offline capability, push notification, tracing analytic, and then you would have the BTP platform, where you would have features like the identity provider, integration security, and so on. And then you would hit the backend system, which could be SAP or third-party systems. Yeah. And can you go to the next slide, please? So I have created a quick demo using a SAP built-in solution, which is a BDP, SDK for iOS. And to build the demo, I will need Xcode, and then optionally the Fiori Mentor, which is only available for iPad. So I'm going to share my screen. Yeah. Can you see my screen?
Mm.
Can you? Okay. Yeah. Yeah. So very quickly, I have created a BDP trial account where, as you can see, here's my SAP account where I have built a instance of HANA database. And here you can see that I have a HTTP container here built with CAP project. And here are the tables. There are already data inside. Yes, and to create this HDI, I have used the Business Application Studio. Here you have all the entities that I'm using it and exposing it, and the initial data is loaded in the CSV file. And then I have the Node.js module where I'm exposing these entities. For the purpose of this demo, I have disabled the authentication, and there is no implementation of Node.js behind, so it's a direct communication to the HANA database. And so far, the mobile service doesn't accept the OData 4.0. Therefore, I have to create a proxy adapter which transforms to OData 2.0, right? So once this was deployed, it created the following service. And you can see what's inside of this entity. And using the V2, you can switch to OData 2.0, right? So once I have the data ready, the API ready to consume, you can go to this website, BTK SDK for iOS, where you can download the assistant. And as you can see, there's many different versions, and each of them is specific for the version of the Xcode. And the next thing you do is go to your account and create an instance of the mobile service where you can find it here. And I have created already a one. And here you have this link. And if you click it, it should open the iOS assistant that would automatically bind the mobile service. And then from there, you can start creating your iOS app. And I already have done that. And it's here. So all this app is generated automatically by the assistant. And you build it and select the device. You can simulate it.
Aquí, Luce, parece que no se ve la pantalla.
I see the screen. Hello? Screen? Sorry, guys. Things that happens in live. Okay. Can you see it again? Okay, sorry. Yeah. I was simulating my app, and then here you can see all the data, like so. Each smart.
Yes, I think we're going to stop here. The demo is finished. Mm. The I think the conclusion here is that SAP offers a stack for whatever use case we have in terms of enterprise mobility, and that whatever we choose, it's actually quite simple. It's quite simple to create a low-code, no-code mobile app, especially for citizen users. But even things more complicated, like a native mobile app, it's quite simple to do with the SDKs that SAP, Apple, and Google provide. Very good. Thanks for participating.
Thanks a lot for this presentation, and we don't have any questions in the chat, but we can.
Hey, Paul.
Okay, so
You hear me?
thanks a lot, Asier.
Good. Then we stop here. Thank you.
Thanks.
Bye.